right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Horimiya, Season 1, Episode 1. New show.
New show.
Fun.
This is one that came out rather recently.
Yep. Apparently based off of a really awesome manga.
Yep. I believe it's of the romance genre. Based on the cover, it's probably going to be a small ensemble cast of sorts.
Cool.
But other than that, the name doesn't really make me think of anything specific.
The general vibe that I've gotten from it is that it's one of those simple concepts but good execution kind of shows, which I'm all for. I love those styles. Yeah.
Okay, cool. My big thing is I'm wondering how much of this is going to be comedy versus romance, because it's almost a given in most anime that there's going to be com in your rom.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's nice to just have one or the other.
Is it a little dash or is it whoops?
Yeah, oops, yeah, a whole bunch.
Yep.
But yeah, this show replaced Wodokoi. So yeah. Okay. Y'all, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. Wow.
Okay, this was fast.
That was very fast.
Yeah, I like it.
I think the first thing we can get right off our chest here is that this is very clearly a romantic comedy.
Yes.
But our typical kind of main duo here very clearly likes each other, have somewhat communicated already that they like each other.
Even if they don't know what that fully means yet.
Even if they're still having trouble understanding their feelings and stuff, because there is an aspect of there being a convenient similarity between the two of them. But also just the general pacing and the speed at which they're going through all this stuff just to get us introduced to maybe what's going to be the status quo dynamic is so fast.
They could be having a kid in 30 episodes.
30.
Or
20.
20, yeah.
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 I mean, in some ways, isn't Sota already their child?
Point. There we go. Yeah, right, exactly.
Made. Okay. We have a very small cast right now, and I really like that. We didn't introduce too many characters. Toru and Yuki. They are the dying girlfriend, basically. The other ones there.
Cool.
There might be some potential drama, love, love-ogram,
polygon, whatever.
Yeah, love-ogon, basically,
right.
Of sorts. Some kind of shape.
Yep.
That will form out of this. But they covered a lot of that on the side with Toru really quickly.
And I gotta say, as far as the way that was used, I loved it. Because if you think about it, that could have been something where it's a mini arc that leads up to the friend likes her and blah, blah, blah. And then there's the confession and then she doesn't like him and everything.
And then there's the fallout of are we still friends
right.
though?
Yep. There could totally have been all that. But instead, it felt like it was basically just using that as the catalyzing event to get them to actually be forced to communicate about their feelings about each other.
Sure.
And while they don't fully understand their feelings about each other, because they have met fairly recently, and while there was kind of a montage of time passes,
there was some
in this
time
episode,
that passed,
it's still something where it's they're young, this is still fairly new to them, and while they talk about things that they feel of I don't know if I like the idea of someone else seeing you in this way, they still don't know what they're doing. So having that moment where then, she can get pissed about wait, you said we wouldn't be a good couple? What the hell? And it's well, I didn't think that was on the table, but also, wait, hold on. What about the fact that he confessed to you? It's that's not what they're talking about. But as a result, they were able to actually be open with each other and come to understand each other a bit better. Cool.
Yeah, I really like how that was handled, basically. It led to them having a little bit closer understanding of the fact that, they both kind of like each other.
Even if they wouldn't necessarily put it in those words just yet.
Yeah, and there is a bit of a dissonance with regards to the fact that it's an attraction, kind of a bit of a crush. So the strength by which the response is made on why would you say that, we wouldn't make a good couple? It's well, you're not a couple yet.
Right. We aren't,
But maybe maybe on some level this is part of the issue with Hori, is that she's not actually that good at communicating.
Sure.
So she needs to, instead of just lambasting Mia for the areas in which he's not communicating, we can have some kind of understanding that they're both not good at communicating. They can kind of sit down and like, hey,
they can communicate badly together.
Yeah, exactly. And
which
there's a lot of potential there.
Yep, that is a hell of a lot more than most rom-coms get.
Right.
And if that's kind of like
not communicating at all.
Right. And if the way that this story is kind of differentiating itself from the other like litany of other like, you know, high school romance anime out there, and it's like hey, this is the one where the characters are still going to be realistically bad at the thing that is the source of the conflict in the story,
even though it moves so quickly.
We're going to make it so that this is the series where it doesn't have a lot of that kind of not bullshit necessarily, but it can feel like that. Or no,
I mean, they could still have all kinds of drama,
sure,
and it doesn't have to be bullshit.
Right.
It's just the thing of where I think what they did was they got us to the point where these two are basically together.
Yeah, and they've kind of communicated that to each other, and then it's just we're going to figure out how this works, what this looks like, etc. as the show moves forward. Course of the show, Right, and then that way you can kind of have this thing where while they have not done a lot of the traditional beats of a romance story, they haven't had like a confession scene or things like that, right? It's something where they can kind of go through the relationship post-confession, even though they haven't actually confessed, you know.
Exactly.
And I really like that as a way to basically say, hey, this is what this series is going to do that's different from most other anime romances you've seen, especially ones that take place in high school, which is almost all of them,
which is 95% of them. Okay. Of all these characters, though, I really like what they're setting up with Mia here.
Yeah.
Mia is a boy who we now have like that basic kind of bio info of. We don't really know too much about his personality.
Sure, or like his home or things like that.
Well, no, we know a couple things about the fact that his family runs a cake business.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
But we do actually know some things with the way he's reacting to extremity that is Hori. Hori is fire. I loved the dramatic anime representation of her like rising out of the fire like a demon, where it's just like, oh my god.
Yep.
She's terrifying. But the way Mia responded to the initial reaction of like, oh, you not avoiding me. You're not like freaking out or something like that. It very much has that classic thing of the mysterious boy who opens up and then the girl's like, I don't dislike it. And you're like, oh, really?
Yeah, exactly.
And yet, if that's where the character depth will start for him, in that he's genuinely moved by the fact that she doesn't, judge him necessarily, that's a really sweet kind of starting point, because in some ways that's kind of what it seems like she's maybe experiencing on a different level, is that he, instead of a not thing, it's a positive thing, where it's the, look at all these things that he's doing with me and my little brother, despite the fact that we're I'm a completely different person essentially at home.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh, and I'm interested to see where the nots and the do's like switch places, basically.
Yes, because they are very different people, and yet they have enough similarities to be able to get along decently well most of the time, and yeah, I feel like they'll complement each other really well.
Yeah, I could see a lot of conflict coming from Hori's short-fused aspect of who she is.
Yep.
There is a bit of a bludgeoning that happened this episode with the I am a tsundere stuff. And I get it. It's for the comedy. Yeah. It's for sure.
And yet at the same time, I feel like she is in certain areas, when she's not just motor mouthing baka baka baka. She is kind of toned down as far as like some tsunderes I've seen. Like,
okay.
Like I feel like she has almost like a mode where she goes into tsundere mode, but she isn't normally.
To be fair, I think you've seen a lot more like worse tsunderes than I have.
That's probably true.
I've only
there are
seen
a lot of real bad.
I've only seen a couple, and most of them are like the legendary ones, like the ones that everyone goes, "Oh,
yeah,
yeah."
Right.
Okay. I really, though, loved the scenes of where we have Mia then, like, doing the impossible, I'm going to get the eggs and everything task.
Yeah,
but
that
then
was
he
great.
leaps in front of Yuki, and she kind of has this, like, whoa, he's cool. And if that's the setup for, like, an awkward kind of friend kind of bit of drama because, I actually kind of have a crush on him now.
Yep.
If they handle it in the way they handled the Toru, Mia kind of situation, that'd be really cool because I like the fact that Toru is still friends with Mia.
Yep.
And in fact, like, the fact that after the confession, he's like he's like basically heartbroken, but he's like, you're such a good guy, basically. Like, I almost get the vibe that he's like, you're not like dating her necessarily, but you also like helped set me up so I could do this. And even though I got rejected, you know.
Right. You were there for me, man.
Yeah, you were there, exactly. And
even if she might have also rejected me, maybe because she likes you, you know.
Right. There's this almost reasonable like, energy that I get from some of the characters where I'm like,
it's refreshing.
You're so reasonable. What
oh my god, people being decent human beings in an anime. that in and of itself is ridiculous.
Yeah,
but
I think we roast that part of it because we've seen so many things that we just come to as like, yes, anime-isms, a thing that maybe people are like, not all animes like that. Right. It's like, of course not, but a lot of anime are like that.
And quite frankly, a lot of high schoolers are like that. So, you know, it's like, while it's done to extra dramatic effect a lot of the times in anime, this is a level of understanding that is like just on that edge of where I'm like, yeah, I totally believe that there could be high schoolers like this and stuff that talk about things like this, and yet at the same time, it's above what I would expect.
Right.
You know.
So, all right, very, very simple start. Looking forward to the two of them trying to run their little domestic house with Sota.
Yep.
There's that slight bit of foreshadowing with regards to the mom not being good at saying no. And the fact that means that leaves the house essentially being taken care of by Hori. And so some potential resentment there that could build up.
There could totally be resentment. I also feel like it could just be the thing of the, hey, let's make it so that the parents aren't always present, but have a decent reason for it. You know, in that they're working a lot of the time and, they have a character flaw that makes it so they're doing that more often.
One of the things that was established here is that Mia's big problem was that he assumed that she and him wouldn't get along together because his demeanor and
could hurt her reputation.
Could hurt her reputation.
Which
feels like such a cultural thing to say.
Yeah.
But also, I just loved the way in which she's like, how could you assume that?
Yeah, she got pissed at him, and
why would you do that?
Right, and that well, you could say that
it
was
like my favorite like tsundere moment of the whole like episode.
I would almost even say that it doesn't necessarily. I wouldn't even necessarily classify it as a tsundere moment.
Yeah.
Because I would say that that would be pretty freaking normal for someone to be like, the hell, what, really. Right. Really? Yeah. Do you really think that little of me, or am I not able to make my own choices? Like, and that was actually the thing that he just said to Toru of like, well, she'll decide that. You know, I can't decide that. And then, he just decided. But
he has a double standard within himself, and there's some really interesting character.
That speaks to me of like insecurities and things like that. And
of course,
because everyone.
That's why he hides his tattoos and piercings and stuff. It's not because it probably kick him out of school. It'd probably be because he'd be viciously bullied by the teachers and the students.
Sure, because and this is one of those things that I want to keep in mind for myself, that I don't fully know what this is like in Japan, but I know that it is a thing, is that tattoos are taboo because of like, you know, association with like Yakuza and things like that, you know. Okay. So like to the point where in that in, you know, early Attack on Titan, they removed the tattoo that was given to Mikasa because of like an actual like censoring thing of, we don't want to show kids getting tattoos.
Wow.
You know, yeah, like that was so
dumb.
So for him to have all this ink on him, that's something that's like apparently like a big deal, where he just shows it to Toru and he's like, oh yep, you absolutely, you know, could not wear the one of the regular like summer uniform gym t-shirts or PE t-shirts.
But okay, let's have some good girl, bad boy rom-com interactions where they're actually more normal than ever once they leave the school, like,
because that's the good stuff, like that's the super sweet, like, wholesome, like, and inject that stuff into your veins.
And if you want to talk about maybe conceptually what they're aiming for in the long term, is basically tearing down the idea of the perfect girl and the bad boy,
right?
Is that they're both lies, and that most people have multiple sides to them. And their little shadow personas that were in the reflections there. That's closer to actually who they really are.
The bit with Yuki when, like, you know, he's like, when she sees him after he, like, oh, I gotta get the eggs and everything. And she's like, whoa. You know, like, I was this close to expecting her to just be like, kakoi, you know, like, oh, so cool, right? But it's like, no, it's something so totally silly. He's like, I gotta, you know, egg time. It's egg time, right?
And she's like, egg time?
Yeah, I don't get it, right? But, like, if I was to see Mia's, like, regular, like, appearance and everything, I would think that it was going for, like, the romance bad boy kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But no, it's a lot simpler than that. It's just simpler. I did it on a whim. I thought it'd be cool, but now I'm not confident enough in it to actually, like, you know, own it to, like, the whole world.
Right.
Which is such a teenager thing to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. But y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.